Hello, Mr. Lawen, to the fifth episode by now. Yeah, we are at episode 5 of season 1. We are very happy to have you here. How are you, man?
Hello, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I'm very excited to start. I'm happy to be here. Doing well, thank you.
Yeah.
How are you, by the way?
I'm good. Managing the Ramadan schedule with my semester schedule.
Okay.
It's an easy and like a not so easy job because like it's good that I have all my classes like afternoon, but still like for some days we still have like 4.5 hours of classes. So that's that's difficult.
It's really easy for me.
Yeah.
Because my work hours have reduced.
Yeah.
By 3 or 4 hours.
That's great.
So it's just
I wish they would done the same for students, but
it's probably not possible.
Yeah. Maybe like in the future, hopefully.
Maybe.
Yeah. So how are you? How is everything?
It's all right. It's getting hot very quickly.
Yeah, but
quicker
at night
than I thought.
It's still a bit coldish.
Really?
Yeah,
Last night was a bit chilly.
Yeah.
But during the day it's pretty hot.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's just the transition happened so fast. I didn't even expect it.
Yeah, I mean, one of my friends was saying like because of Ramadan, so it's like
it has to be hot.
Yeah, it has to be hot. Yeah, of course.
Yes.
So let's start with how do you get here? So childhood, education, high school, and uni.
Oh, you wanted me to talk about everything?
Not everything, like the highlights, maybe.
Highlights.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm from Slimani originally. Yeah. I was born and raised here. Yeah. I lived all my life in Slimani. I went to all boys school for high school, and then basically here there are two different schools for like high school and then 3 levels after. I don't know what they call it.
Yeah, like the preparatory, like something.
Yeah, exactly. But for the whole 6 years, 6 levels, I was in all boys school. And then I graduated high school in 2012.
Okay.
I joined AUIS 2013. Was I think the fall of 2013. I studied 1 level of APP.
Okay.
Only level 3. Back then it was 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't foundation.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I was accepted in level 3, and then I redid the test after a month or so.
So you didn't need 4?
I passed 4.
Yeah.
I went immediately to UG, and then I started in February 8th of 2014, basically.
Okay.
So I graduated from business administration in 2018. I worked for about a year and a half after graduation and then came back to AUIS. So you can say I'm close to about 9 to 10 years spending at AUIS. I was working while studying since 2016. I spent most of my years working. I don't really regret it, but at some point, I wish I was more involved in what was happening at AUIS, and then work didn't really let me do that. For example, things like this, I think, are far more valuable now that I look back. Far more valuable than only working, because basically you will find jobs. You don't need to worry. So what's the point of starting so early? But these types of activities that are happening around AUIS is just, for me, when I look back in hindsight, is more valuable than what I did. What I did has its value as well, but I wish I had been more involved in this.
Okay, so let's take this by let's divide this. So first of all, like APP, you took level 3.
Yes.
How was it?
APP, since I didn't really spend much time, the whole of APP, and also...
It was 13 weeks, right?
I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, because
I only did
like
1 month.
when I took it in 2019, they said they changed it for the first time from 13 to 10 weeks. And they have like increased the studying the hours and everything. Yeah.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
But I only spent 1 month there. And for the whole month of APP, and then also afterwards for the first semester, you know how it is. You come
Yeah.
to orientation, they give you 5 classes. It's a schedule. You cannot change it. You have
Yeah.
no idea what it is. You
Yeah.
have
It's
no
reading
idea
and
about
writing.
the teachers.
Yeah.
Um, to be honest, I have no idea what happened because I was coming from a public school, all boys school,
Mm.
and I was into this new environment that I had
Which is
no
very
idea
different.
about.
Yeah.
It was very different for me.
Yeah.
And then I had James Hart for my Civ 101.
Yeah.
James Hart was one of, or remains, probably the hardest, or one of the hardest teachers
And ATOS.
to ever
Yeah.
teach at AYS.
Yeah.
I had him for the first semester. I had a D. For the final, he told me that unless I get 86 out of 100, I won't pass.
Mm.
I passed,
Oh,
but it was
good job.
yeah,
Good
it was a
job.
lot of stress
Yeah.
because basically I had no idea how to deal with the environment.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I got to know really good people, friends that I'm still friends with. For example, Ahmed Aram from APP.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
knew him probably in the second year. Several other of my friends who've gone to work now outside of AUIS. I'm still friends with them. I got to know to these people, and that made it a lot easier.
Yeah. For me, like when I look back, I think we share like this experience about like how it was very challenging to adapt to the change, because like I also come from Basra, which is like the system there is very different than here in the north. So when I came here, like as you said, like all boys schooling for like I think my entire life, and like it was like a shock and trying to know how to navigate, like doing it through the system. And yeah, I also remember like the first semester is also like kind of tough for students, because like they are also seeing like these five courses and they can't change anything about it. But the thing is, like with us, we only like took 3 weeks of the first semester, and then COVID
Yeah,
hit.
yeah,
So like the first semester stress, and we have COVID now. It was like it was
I understand. I
a very
understand.
nice time to
I
live in.
understand.
And yeah.
Even for me, like when I studied my whole academic life on campus, the
Mm.
first semester was
Yeah, it is
very
very
difficult.
challenging.
I
Yeah.
can't even imagine how it is to come here for 3 weeks and then go back home and then have no idea what is gonna happen.
And like our case was like better than other students, because like we took APP, like we took level 3, and like we moved to UG. But like for other students, these are like only 3 weeks that they have spent in college. So they don't know the system, they don't know Sonos, they don't know Moodle, and they had to do it all at home. There is no campus and no one to guide you through this. But like the good thing, like not talking about all the bad side, like the good thing, like the university like adapted the online thing very quickly, which helped us. Yeah, even though it wasn't like the best experience, but we still like haven't delayed like our academic like progress and everything. We still had the semesters
Yeah,
on place. We still had classes online, and the adaptation, even though it was like very challenging in the beginning, it was like pretty fast, which is
yeah,
something that other universities like took much longer to adapt to.
yeah. A lot of them didn't even do anything until I think,
Few months
yeah,
afterwards, yeah.
late spring.
Mm.
We came back immediately as employees. We went back to work, not on campus, from home,
Mm.
immediately after the no rose break. Because if you remember, it was I
I
think
remember like our first like online lecture. I talked about this like previously. It was like a Facebook Live with Miss Haley. It was
yeah,
English. It was Facebook Live, and like we got back during the weekend. They sent the email around Tuesday, Thursday, something like this.
yeah,
We pack our stuff. We had to fly back home, and we started like next Tuesday or something like this. Like,
yeah.
not all instructors like started this quickly, but most of them did. Like, yeah,
It's important to use whatever means necessary to keep students engaged.
yeah,
So if we had left you in the dark for a couple of months, no emails,
mm,
no idea about what is going to happen, then even no matter how hard we would have tried afterwards,
yeah,
it would have been 10 times more difficult to get you back on track.
Yeah.
But then we had this break that we were going to have anyways because it was no
No
rules.
rules, yeah.
It's like 10 days break.
Yeah, I know.
You go through this break, and it's a normal break,
Yeah.
right? And right afterwards, you're engaged through emails, through your teachers, and all these different channels that keep you engaged. So I think that's important. But going back to adaptation from high school to university, I think it's a very, very important wake-up call for anyone, for any teen coming from high school to university. Because I think we will not have that autonomy in high school that you will have in university. A lot of people, when first they experience it, they say it's very difficult. They'll make you go through all of these different processes to do different things. But that is how life is for an adult. And college really prepares you for that. I think AUIS, I haven't been to other universities, and I have to be, without my even knowledge, I have to be biased. I don't know.
Yeah.
It has to be biased talk, right?
Yeah.
But I truly do believe that AUIS prepares you for that the best because they make you go through certain processes. You're a club leader.
Yeah.
You probably know better
Yeah.
than anyone.
Yeah.
Clubs are solely designed at AUIS for students to be able to manage things, to organize things, to manage their times, to manage people, to be leaders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when they tell you, for example, you have a request at any of the departments of AUIS, when they tell you go to that department and they don't help out the other departments, I think that's the first step for you to step into adulthood life. Because that's how any process happens around the world. So I think it's a good transition for anyone to go through.
Yeah.
Because it prepares you for life.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's really good for like how the system is designed for like students who haven't figured like what they want to study as well. Like we talked about like the leadership stuff, like that's good, but like not all students want to do that. Like some of them just want to study and like have a bit of fun. But the thing is, like, even for those students who haven't figured what they want to study, like the first year is all like general stuff, so you can take whatever you want. I think that's pretty good for like everyone. Like even those who like know what they want to study, it's good to like experience and experiment with other classes to see like what are your areas of interest. Maybe you can minor in other stuff, and that's also like another like huge advantage that I don't think like I've seen in other universities where like I know people there about like the minor stuff. Because like I'm also taking I'm majoring software and minoring business, so that's also like pretty good to have extra knowledge.
The liberty to choose any course during any semester, it's very liberating, and it also teaches you how to manage your time. For example, there were semesters. For example, every year in fall, I used to do better than summer. It was something that I had to do.
Is it because the weather is better?
Probably weather, or probably fatigue as well, because I had spent like 3 or 4 months in fall.
Yeah, I think
and then I didn't have
Mr. Jeffrey talked about this on the Hello K podcast. He talked about like how students are more like academically successing in the fall because they have the summer break.
There are the numbers you can look up with registration. I don't know if they give it publicly, but there are numbers. I'm sure students do better during fall than spring. There are many different factors. But for example, I was saying that during fall, for example, I had the liberty to choose. For example, I wanted to go home early every day. So I chose my classes from 9 to 1. All right. And then by 1, I was already home.
Yeah.
I had the liberty to do that. But during summer, I never wanted to wake up early. I always wanted to wake up late.
Yeah.
For exams, for classes. I didn't want to study. I used to wake up early in the morning to study during the spring. So I scheduled all of my classes from 11 to 3 maybe.
Yeah.
Right? You don't really get the liberty to do that in different places, right? And then that also teaches you to do that with your work, with the things you take care of. With, for example, it opens a door for you. For example, for this podcast, you know how to schedule it.
Kind of.
All right.
It's not the best, but we are managing.
You're consistent.
Yeah.
You know what to do.
Yeah.
Or you at least consciously you're thinking about it, right?
Of course. Yeah.
You're saying, all right, this doesn't work. it doesn't work. I have to try something else.
Mm.
And I think that preparation, without you knowing, comes from the first steps of studying at the UIS.
Yeah.
I think so. I truly
Yeah,
believe so.
I mean, yeah, I believe so, of course. Like, you have to manage your time between, like, many stuff, and especially for, like, people who, like, not specially located, like, originally at Suli, who has
Yeah.
to live in the dorms. Like, we have to cook, we have to clean, we
Yeah,
have to do all
exactly.
of that stuff that we didn't think about, like, a few years back. So we also, like, have to take that into consideration, and that's for, like, any students who's studying, like, abroad or, like, in an outside city. So that's pretty important about, like, the summer. I also did that for, like, last summer when uh, I was planning to take it here, because, like, the news was we are going to take summer back at campus for last year.
Hmm.
But then, like, they said no, summer is going to be online. So yeah, but the good thing, I had all the classes at afternoon, so from 2 to 3, 4, something like this.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good
It's
because
pretty good, yeah. Then you know how to live an adult life. So the thing is, unless you have choices,
Mm,
you're really not experiencing life.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And it's the
We should put that
most
in quotes. Yeah.
and it's also there's a caveat that also it's the most difficult thing to have choices.
Mm,
If you don't have choices, you're like similar to a prisoner. They
yeah.
make you get up early, eat breakfast, go back to your cell, come back for I don't know an activity, and then go back to your cell. It's probably the easiest thing to do because you don't really have to make any choices. But the minute that those decisions come to you, then the responsibility comes, and then the stress, and then the difficulties. So to be taught to make choices early on, I
Mm.
think is the most important thing, to be honest.
Yeah, and like, the thing is, like, for new students, like, I think there is some area for improvement, like how to teach new students to maybe pick classes. Like, I know, like, university does these videos and the registration can help. Maybe, like, some workshops or, like, some uh, like, seminars can be done about, like, how to teach new students, like, how to, because, like, for me it was, like I said, it was difficult, and then we had online, so I only had, like, the videos that the registration sent, and I didn't know, like, how to go to Sonus and add all the classes I want to do, and it was pretty messed up. But yeah, I think, like, some, like, especially new students can suffer from that. And
Definitely, yeah. COVID made things a lot difficult.
yeah,
But now that we're getting back to campus, orientations are getting
much
better
better.
and better. Yeah. So, for example, we hadn't had an actual orientation in probably a year and a half.
Mm.
But then we had it last semester and we had it this semester. We made students go visit all of the departments, like go to MLS, to engineering, to business, meet the faculty, meet the volunteers, interact with them, do ice breaks. And these things only get better. The problem is, it feels like COVID really did reset a lot of things.
I
Like
started
you
all the
almost forget about
yeah,
how it was before COVID. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that makes it really difficult because you had to start from beginning.
Yeah, I started everything, like the podcast and the club, just because of, like, how low I got at COVID. I
Yeah.
said, like, that's it. When we are going back, if we are going back, I need to do, like, everything. I
Yeah.
can't sit and do nothing. I have to do all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a common way for teens to think that they are lacking behind,
Mm,
but you have a lot of years ahead of you. But I'm mentioning this because I went through the same thing, to be honest. In my early 20s, I felt like everyone was working, and that's why I started working in 2016.
yeah.
I felt like everyone was going ahead and everyone was more successful than I was,
Mm,
but I forgot that I was only like 20, 22.
mm,
It's not that old. I think Jeff Bezos started Amazon when he was probably 46 or something,
yeah.
and is he now the second
Yeah.
richest? He
Yeah.
used to be the first
Yeah.
he used to be the richest man
Then he got divorced. Yeah.
in history. Yeah, he was still the richest man until Elon Musk came. Yeah, there is a joke about that. They
Yeah.
say Jeff Bezos is so rich that he got divorced and he still remained the richest man on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, like, don't rush it. Try
Mm.
to enjoy it. Try to live in the moment because when you look back,
Yeah.
there's no point in rushing it, to be honest.
Yeah, that's where like my point would come, because like I also see that like among my friends, like we have one of my friends at our dorm room, he's working 24/7. He has
Yeah.
like two jobs and he's like
Yeah.
killing it at the business hierarchy. But the thing is, like the things that I'm doing, like the club and this podcast, it's true that it's time consuming and it's a lot of work, but these are like things that I want to do and I enjoy real much. Like I really missed like having real conversations at COVID,
Yeah.
so that's the thing. Like I missed watching movies with a lot of people, so that's where the club comes in. So even though that it takes time and an effort to manage and do all of these events, like managing a club and a degree is difficult, so doing it with a podcast, that's much it's much more like time consuming. But it's if you are enjoying it and you are having fun doing what you are doing, so why not?
Yeah, exactly. And also, it drives you to do more. It
Mm,
encourages you. The things that don't really mentally put a pressure on you, they encourage you to do more.
yeah,
But for example, there were works that I did. I did it only for 3 months,
yeah,
but it felt like an eternity because it put so much pressure on me. And I only got the financial benefit from it.
yeah,
And then financial benefits. I know it's like it's a hippie thing to say that financial is not important. It's
yeah,
about the experience. I'm not really all about that because I think finances is important as well.
yeah,
But the thing is, if you don't have to, some people are not as
yeah,
fortunate and they
yeah,
have to do it.
yeah.
But
That's
if
yeah.
you don't have to, financial gains don't really stay with you. It is
Mm,
these types of experience that really stay with you. And that's what is important because even now, like I work here at AYS, I've been here for 3 years. The older you get, the less importance you give to your work. Obviously, this is not for everyone, but the more experienced you are, the more you pay attention to the things outside of work. You know what
mm,
I mean?
yeah,
Obviously, not for everyone. A lot of people really take their works seriously, but for me, um, I do work while I'm at work, and then outside of work, that's it. I do the things that I enjoy,
yeah,
and it's really important to constantly remember that or remind yourself of that.
yeah. So fun question.
Yes.
You were around, like you said, like the clubs around your days of college, and you are here
hmm
like as
hmm
an administrator now. How can you compare the scenes?
It's very difficult for me to compare because, as I mentioned, I wasn't as involved as I
Yeah.
should have been back then. But back then, I remember that people were a lot more engaging than they are right now. And
Mm,
I think, again, that goes back to COVID.
yeah.
Um, right now, it is as if students, especially, as if they constantly need that social proof to see that someone else is going for them to go as well. There's no, for example, if I'm a student at EUIS, this is how I imagine it is.
Mm,
If I see an email and I see there's an event, unless I know a large group of people are attending that
you
event,
wouldn't
I'm
go.
not gonna go. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think there is a fear, a social fear, some kind of fear. I don't know what it is, but just students find it really difficult to participate in activities, especially activities organized by the university.
Mm,
Clubs is a different thing because you guys have a closed community, your friends, um, you have that word of mouth. But for student services, especially, it's proving to be very difficult for students or for the student services to engage more students in their activities. You know what I mean?
mm,
And I think it goes back to COVID. That is one thing that I would say is different from now, from like
yeah. Like
before COVID
yeah.
or before I was when I was a student and now.
Like you mean students were more sociable than now.
More sociable, more engaging, more willing to participate.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think I was discussing this like with a friend a while back. We were talking about like how being like in constant contact with social media like affected
Mm-hmm.
us. And I think it has to come like I can see it like with even with students who are like couples of years like younger than us, like we are like what 2001. Some people are like
Yeah.
now 2003 at uni, so I can see that like they have been on social media for a larger like portion of their lifespan rather than we did, like
Mm-hmm.
because like we
Hmm.
had some time where we didn't have the internet, like it wasn't very famous yet.
Yeah.
And I think it affected so many people
Mm-hmm.
because like they are in constant contact like with these highly influential successful beautiful people around the world, and how they are showing all of this like how their life are perfect and like cars and everything and hangouts, and it affected people so much. I think they are like shy of like how insignificant they are, or like how
Hmm.
they are like new to this and they are learning. Like it's not for everyone, but you can see like a lot of like people from our generation, they are pretty like, I don't know, should I call it like addicted to social media, or
Yeah,
like how
definitely. Definitely. I
mm,
think I say this all the time. Our generations, even our generation,
mm,
my generation, I was born in the early 90s.
mm.
Even for me, because I had my first social media account in 2009.
Yeah, for me it
I
was 12.
was, all right.
Mm,
For me, I was 15. 15, yes. I was 15 when I had my first social media account.
mm,
When I look back, I think about it. Our generations have a, how should I say it? A, what do they call it? A non consensual.
mm.
We have a non consensual relationship with social media.
Yeah,
We did not really have the choice. If you think about it, we didn't really have the choice to make a decision to open our social media accounts.
yeah.
Think about it. You were under 18, right? When
When
you
I
had
had
your
my first
first.
account, yeah.
And then when you wake up, when you're like, you usually get a sense of things, your surroundings, where you are like 20, 21, right? You feel more responsible. You feel more responsible towards yourself. You take care of yourself during those years, right? After 18. So if you had your social media account, or you were like attached to social media before you were 18, it is really non-consensual. You didn't have consent to
Mm,
be exposed to this because you don't know how to make decisions when
yeah,
you're underage, right?
yeah.
And then
Even
you,
if you get over it, you are still.
yeah, and then you develop into this human being who does not know that you can live your life without social media.
Yeah.
You don't even think about it,
Mm,
right? You think you have to have it, but you really don't. So that's why it's non-consensual. You don't have the awareness that you can live your life without social media. And I feel like during COVID, during the past 2 or 3 years, social media has created a comfort zone for everyone.
yeah.
Like everyone would rather sit behind a screen. I know this has been said over and over again, but it's a reality. It has to be talked about. Everyone prefers to sit behind a screen in their comfort zone and not be seen
Yeah.
rather than getting out there and be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's a really huge issue. Like think about this the kids that are growing up right now,
Yeah.
and think about it how they will be in the future when we are worrying about people right now.
Yeah, and this like will only get escalated because like now there is like this short media thing going with like
Yeah,
Reels and TikTok,
yeah,
where you could sit for hours just
yeah,
like scrolling through these videos that magically are all in your interest, and they are all hooking, and you can just what have and like the feeling that you get like if you spend like a large portions of time doing like just scrolling through social media
hmm,
and doing it, there is you have like migraines. You feel like you are all
yeah.
over the place.
I had to work on my short attention span for about, I think, maybe 4 or 5 months.
Mm.
I simply could not sit through a YouTube video like of 10 minutes long
Yeah, yeah, that's
without checking
yeah.
something. And then there was this book, I forgot the author's name. It's called Deep Work.
Mm.
Basically tells you how to focus on one thing, and eliminate the distractions. But then he talks about a lot of he talks a lot about social media as well and how it affects you. Um, the short attention span is a huge problem that are not being looked at. It's not only um, it's not only like an effect that affects you immediately, like at that time.
Mm.
It has long term effects as well, like
Yeah.
medical, mental effects, and it is affecting everyone.
Yeah. And
Like literally, the only people who don't have access to internet in the world right now are not have a normal attention span probably.
yeah.
You know, every human being's short the attention span has been shortened, and it's really dangerous for like memory loss and long term memory and these kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like even like few years back, like we would all like sit and watch like YouTube videos for long hour, like long periods. But now, now, at least like some of these like had some useful information. Like now, it's just like people hooking you up with like 15 seconds and
Yeah,
20-second reels, and
yeah,
you are just all over the place. You don't know what you are getting. Like no one
exactly.
can get like useful information to you
You're
in
not
15
really
seconds.
you're not really getting anything, to
Yeah,
be honest. Yeah, there is this documentary. I'm a huge fan of
the social.
Social Dilemma.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
At one point, there's a quote they talk about. They say, if whatever you are consuming is free,
You are the
then
product.
you are the product.
Yeah.
And I take that to the heart.
Mm.
I Every time I look at anything on social media, I'm reminded by that, and it is really true. So, at what cost? What is the cost? We have to really think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's very, very difficult also to think about the costs because it's something that you don't feel immediately. Yeah.
So you are saying the club scene nowadays is much better than your days, right?
Hmm. I have to think about that question.
Okay.
I would say it's similar.
Okay.
It's because we still have the kind of people who are initiative in the community,
Hmm.
but the encouragement from the whole community is much less than it used to be.
Hmm.
People used to be more encouraged to do these things than they are right now,
Yeah.
and different aspects. A lot of factors
Yeah.
come into
Yeah.
play.
I mean, we talked about like social media, COVID. Still, some
Yeah,
people like have some fear of socializing even
yeah,
afterwards. And like I know also like some people who like on their first like return to campus, like they also were so outgoing and social, but then they met like some very bad people.
yeah.
So they said like just F it, I'm going to. That's really sad. Like it's like we come across like some really bad people in our life, but I don't know if you should like just sit back and like abandon the whole thing.
Yeah, there's this book. I talk about a lot of books and movies.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, there's this book
It's called
called
Paradiso Talks. That's
yeah,
the entire point.
the subtle art of not giving an F,
Yeah.
by Mark Manson.
Yeah.
I read both of his book. I didn't really like the second book much, but the first one really taught me a lot,
Mm.
and it got me into Stoicism. I don't know if you guys are aware about
Yeah.
Stoicism. All right, so Stoicism, and you have to look it up.
Yeah, I know.
I can't describe it.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Now for the listeners,
Mm.
this book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F, and also combined with Stoicism, really taught me a lot. And nowadays, how should I put this? I really don't give an F about the things that don't really matter.
Mm.
And that takes a lot of weight off your shoulders.
Yeah.
It really makes life a lot easier.
Yeah,
So sorry, but you have to prioritize and you have to choose what really matters and
Yeah.
don't matter. So because when you take care of everything, then you're really not taking
Care of
care of
anything.
anything, and
Yeah.
then you're blaming yourself, and then you're getting into a vicious cycle. When
Yeah, I mean, I also like was like this until like after COVID and after like the comeback, because like I see it also with like these newer students that I've been in contact with, like they are so obnoxious about like how others like would think of them, and like
yeah,
how they are afraid of saying the wrong thing and leaving good first impressions and everything.
yeah,
I mean, all of these stuff are good, but like you can't control like what everyone thinks about you.
yeah, you can't also compare yourself to everyone.
Yeah.
Theodore Roosevelt has an amazing quote. He says, "Comparison is the thief of joy."
Mm.
You do the things you enjoy, like you do the things you enjoy, but the minute you start comparing yourself to others, that joy is immediately gone. I do photography.
Yeah.
I
I wanted
don't.
to come to that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
start. Yeah.
I don't
Go ahead.
have a lot of following on Instagram,
Yeah.
and I really don't. It doesn't really matter to me. It matters to me close to 10, 20 people really see my art, and
And
then
enjoy
they
it.
appreciate it and
Yeah.
enjoy it,
Yeah.
right? If I start comparing myself to big photographers who have like, I don't know, 10
Thousands. Yeah.
millions,
10
I will
millions of people.
never get anywhere.
Yeah.
All right. If you start comparing yourself to other podcasters like Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
you'll never get to that level.
Yeah. I mean, we are
You
much.
might get to that
Yeah.
level.
Much better. Yeah.
You might get to that level,
Yeah.
but
Inshallah.
but not right now, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Not at this moment. So
you should
what's the point?
compare, like, if you want to compare, which is like just to know like where you are at. You
Yeah.
should compare with like someone's beginnings or like how they started.
Exactly. Follow standards.
Yeah.
All right. And that's it. Don't compare yourself to other people. But because honestly, it takes away all the joy that in whatever you are trying to do.
Yeah, I think Jordan Peterson said in one of his rules in the book, like about like how you should only compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not
Yeah,
to someone
exactly.
else today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And especially for things like creations, like especially on the internet, like for art, and when you become a creator, for example, you put this podcast out there.
Yeah.
It is very important to remind yourself with that. There are days that I post a picture on my Instagram and it gets like 10 likes less. I think about it and then immediately remind myself that I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that what keeps me doing more and more. There are a lot of things that, or a lot of reasons why I do it. We can talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I'm for sure, I know that likes and views is not really
The measurements
the,
of,
yeah,
of
because
how good
this
your
is the real
product is.
experience.
Yeah.
I go to the bazaar and I take photos.
Yeah.
That's the experience
That's
that
the
matters to
experience,
me,
yeah.
right? This conversation matters to me.
Yeah.
Not when I give it out, post it somewhere, and then why does it really matter if millions of people see it?
Or
Of course,
just
it
a few-
matters at some level,
Yeah, and
but it's not the most important
Yeah.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even if like few people come up to me and say like how, like, it's very short numbers by now, but like how they enjoyed like a couple of the episodes,
Yeah,
that's really
That's
great.
what it
Like,
matters. Yeah.
it's really good to have like some common voice around the place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a friend. He's into these things as well. He creates. He's into photography, arts. He usually says something that really stays in my mind for a long time. He says, and I remind myself a lot with this statement as well. He says, "We put something out there, and then 50 people see it.
Mm.
Imagine that 50 people right in front of you, and see how it feels." You
Mm.
think in terms of internet, you think that 50 people
Is
is
nothing,
is
yeah.
nothing, right? But in real life, if you have 50 people listening to you, seeing your art, or for example, like I see one of your podcasts has like 40 people, right?
Yeah.
40 views, more
Yeah.
than 40, right?
Yeah.
Imagine that you and I sit in one of the lecture halls and 40 people are listening to us.
Yeah.
That's really powerful,
Yeah.
right? And I think it should be appreciated and not compared to what is out there.
Yeah, and also like when like another point of view to take into consideration is like how like some content is getting like these high numbers and the content isn't that good. Like like just open what's trending on YouTube
Yeah,
and see what like garbage is out there.
exactly. And then like dramatization always
Yeah.
takes the attention.
Yeah.
I can go out there and then film myself naked. It would get millions of views, right, in a day.
Yeah, or just put it in the title and don't do it in the
Yeah, exactly. but that's
Yeah.
not something that I enjoy. That's not something that I want to do in 10, 20 years, right?
Mm.
you have
I
to
mean, it's gonna get
care.
views and
Yeah,
probably money in the
but
short
it
time,
doesn't
but
really
it's not worth
matter.
it. Like
It
it's
doesn't matter. You
yeah,
might not even get money out of it,
yeah,
to be honest. One video, I don't know how much money you're gonna get out of.
yeah.
Some people make money out of it, but I've had jobs that paid a lot more than what I get paid at AUIS.
Yeah.
But since I didn't enjoy it, I left it.
Yeah, I mean that's like very important to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There should be a balance. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that financial means are not
Yeah, I mean
important,
also
but there should be a balance.
you can't do anything without money, but
Yeah,
like to
exactly.
a certain
It's a
point you have
necessity.
yeah.
Yeah, you have to realize that. But it's not everything as well. Like if you don't enjoy it, then you're not gonna keep it up,
Mm. So you talked about photography. How did that start and how is it going?
honestly. To be honest, my photography journey goes back to 2011.
Mm.
I
So before college. Yeah.
Yes, my father bought me a DSLR camera, a Nikon D60. It's one of the old cameras,
Yeah.
but it's still a pretty good one. It has really nice colors. I told him that I wanted to do photography. I'm not sure where it really came from. I don't remember being inspired by anyone. I only knew deep inside without even knowing what composure is, or yeah, composition, not composure. Composition is, I just saw different scenes and I felt like this composition is very nice.
Mm.
And you might recognize in my photos that I post on Instagram, composition is a really big part of what I do,
Yeah.
and it's something that it comes to me really naturally. I don't study a lot of composition. I study editing more, and also how to use my camera in the best way possible.
Mm.
But the composition part really comes to me naturally. I don't really apply any composition rules in my photography, not consciously.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it derived from. I I felt like I can compose different scenes in different way, and that looked really good. And then I started developing that by practicing.
Mm.
There's a quote that says, "Your first 10,000 photos are your worst." So since 2011, if you
So
look,
you got 100,000. Just
I, I if you look back, honestly, the work that I post on my Instagram are my best work.
mm.
And if you take a look at it, it's all work from January 2022 to March 2022,
Mm.
April 2022.
Yeah.
So the ones before that, I look at them often, and I mean they're nice,
Yeah.
but it's not something that I would show to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I started. I would say more of started more of like a feeling. Than,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's a hobby by now, like still.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's it's more of a therapy for me now.
Mm.
I used to play football every Tuesday, sometimes 2 times a week.
Yeah.
It really took my mind off a lot of things.
Yeah.
It was very therapeutic for me. But in June 2021, I had an injury in my knee.
Yeah.
I had an ACL rupture, and then when your ACL is when you have an ACL tear, you cannot play for more than a year. You have to go through surgery, through intensive rehab, in order to just get to normal things. I'm
Yeah.
doing well now.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank God. Man.
Thankfully, yeah.
Just, yeah.
But I still cannot go back to football. And then a lot of things happened in those 6 months, from June 2021 to 2022. And then I had to find a way um, for me to feel like I still have a grip of things.
Mm.
Football was really there for me before, but then I lost that. There was no substitution. And then I got back to photography. I had the gear, I had the cameras, the lenses. I got back to it. I every week, almost every week, during Fridays, because Fridays there are less people in the bazaar,
Mm.
and the more people, the more anxious I get
Yeah.
when I go for photography. The less people, the better for me. Every Friday, I go to the bazaar. I shoot some photos, feel accomplished. I feel like I've done what I had to do,
Yeah.
release some of that like I don't know if it's a negative energy, but I know it's
No, it's like
energy.
retrospective. Like you just get
Yeah,
fresher look at things.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I look forward for next Friday, for example, because I have that,
Yeah.
and that's very therapeutic for me. Yeah,
Mm. So let's start with uh, movies and series.
yeah. Let's
How did it start for you? Like, what's your earliest movie related
NBC
movie?
two, man.
Of
NBC
course,
two,
yeah,
like
of course,
everyone else.
yeah,
Yeah. Um, I listened to your podcast with Shko. He mentioned Space Tune and then
yeah. NBC too.
NBC Two. Space Tune first,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But the interesting thing for me is I didn't realize this until like probably last year. I never in my life
Mm.
watched two back-to-back episodes on Space Tune ever. I never kept up with anything.
Look, man, look. I have it like I got to Spotify recently, and I've got like a playlist
Yeah.
of all the
Oh
songs of
yes, what is your favorite one?
all of them.
My
I
favorite one is Batman.
actually, my friend has her ringtone as me singing Batman.
Especially in
Yeah,
the middle,
yeah,
there is I don't know. Do they call it the Arabic tabla, darbaka, right?
yeah,
Yeah, there is
yeah.
a
Dun, dun,
part.
dun,
Yeah,
dun.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And my friend and I were thinking about this. This is Batman.
yeah,
Why does it have this Arabic tabla right in the middle? But
yeah,
it's my favorite song,
yeah,
and it was probably that Batman, Mask, uh, Basul Madrasa,
yeah,
uh, Academiyat al-Shorta.
yeah.
These were my favorite
Mm.
because these were the cartoons that I could watch without keeping up with
With
the
the
episodes.
episodes, yeah,
I did not care about the story.
yeah.
I only sat down for half an hour, watched it, went outside to play
Play
football
football,
or
yeah.
I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's really fascinating how like Space Tune has affected us
Yeah,
as a
raise the
generation.
generation,
Yeah,
man.
and
Honestly.
it's really when like their entire mantra is like قناة شباب المستقبل.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it's really rare that you see like a catch line which is like
Yeah.
actually true,
Yeah.
and their
That's very
entire
interesting
advertisement is like
to think
they
about.
really did prepare
Yeah.
prepared like some values and morale, like because like when you
Hmm.
look at it now, like if you rewatch like some of these animes, like they are not like obviously they are Japanese animes, so they
Hmm.
are not
Hmm.
Arabic,
Hmm.
but like they dubbed them, they
Yeah.
like made them suitable for like our community, and it really resonated some
Yeah.
important morals for us.
Still does for me, man.
Yeah.
I still feel bad for Bai'at al Kabrit.
Mm.
Honestly, have you seen
Yeah.
that song?
Yeah, of course.
I
Yeah.
still
It's very
like
sad.
when I see some people. It
Yeah.
reminds me of that girl that
Yeah.
that sells matches on the street, and it's snowing, it's cold. It's really as a child, these kind of things are ingrained in you if you
Yeah.
just keep watching and keeping up with them. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. I never thought about Qanat Shabab al Mustaqbal, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then came
NBC too.
NBC2.
Yeah.
Like I used to remember or memorize their schedule. It was like
It was
7,
the biggest problem for me.
9,
Yeah.
11.
Of course, yeah. And the horror movie at one.
Yeah, but there were times that I watched all 3 movies.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we all did that at some point. I remember, like, back. I first of all, I remember the day that NBC Action was like first broadcasted. I remember the day that NBC Max was first broadcasted, and I remember NBC Max. I was around fourth grade, I think. I wasn't really like keeping up with the subtitles yet.
Yes.
So I remember they were doing like these English comedy, like British or like American movies, but they were dubbed.
Mhm.
So I really enjoy them because I finally can understand what's going on. Yeah, that was pretty fun. But like, yeah, NBC2 man, just every Tuesday, every Monday, new
Yeah.
movie, especially around like school times,
Exactly.
because like around the
I
summer they do
remember.
nothing. But when it's school time, yeah, one of my like cousins wrote an article about like how NBC2's like target audience is students who just like got back to school, so they would bring out Endgame, Iron Man, all the cool
Yeah,
movies,
I
and on Monday, the most boring day of the week.
I remember there used to be a series in a period of time where they used to air all James Bond movies,
Yeah,
and I used to sit back and watch them all the way from like Sean Connery and even before Sean Connery.
Yeah, actually caught like I think yeah I watched Skyfall on NBC too.
Yeah,
Like they did a whole premiere and thing, so I watched like the previous movies and I
yeah,
watched
it was
Skyfall.
so different, man. Because when you watch those movies,
Yeah,
obviously there wasn't Netflix available for us.
yeah.
When you watch those movies, there were like 2, 3 commercial breaks.
Yeah, I think
Like
they have
let's say
increased them by
5.
now.
Yeah, for example, but
Yeah,
it's a 2-hour movie and you get like several 4 or 5 commercial breaks,
yeah.
right? You sit down and watch this movie for hours,
Mm.
right? And you had the attention. I would never be able to do that now. Honestly, I watch movies like in 2 different days. One movie in 2 different days.
Yeah, because like back then, like our idea of like gratification and like pleasure was like okay, you work so like which is like in real life, you works like for a while and
Hmm.
then you get. But now it's instant. It just 2 clicks and you
Yeah,
are hooked to the reels and memes and like the cycle
yeah,
that never ends.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what exactly that book talks about.
And
Deep
for
work.
now,
Yeah,
you would have to try so hard just to sell a movie to someone. Like they would tell you, like
yeah,
first of all you have to sell them to watch it, and more than that you have to tell them to go buy a ticket and watch the cinema. But like back in the day, people just sat down and watched a movie like
yeah.
it's nothing. Like
Everyone watched them.
yeah,
I remember there was this TV show. It was a Korean one.
mm,
Back then, it was like probably the first or one of the first uh, foreign TV shows aired in Kurdsat, in one of Kurdistan's
yeah,
local channels.
yeah,
Not so local anymore; it's international. And I remember during Ramadan, if you had gone outside during the airtime of this thing, no one was on the streets, man.
yeah,
Like they were all watching that for like 40 minutes
yeah.
or 45 minutes. Everyone was watching that.
The only thing that I can maybe still put a claim on and say that people hasn't lost that interest in is football.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Football has still a lot of attention on it. Probably
Yeah,
sports in general.
yeah, it might got less since like the biggest 2 teams in the region, and I think the entire like Middle East are like Barcelona, and Real Madrid,
Yeah.
and I think the attention for them got less after like Messi and Ronaldo got out.
Yes.
But I still feel it,
Hmm.
like especially in the streets when like there is a Classico game,
Hmm.
like no
Hmm.
one is out.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Everyone
I
is
agree.
either at home or at a cafe just to watch the game.
I'm looking forward to the World Cup. I want to see what happens, but I
Yeah.
know it's gonna be
There are
chaos.
so much memes by now about like how you are selling your parents' home just to go and try it.
Yeah, there
Like
was one that I saw on Twitter the other day. It says,
yeah, like me taking my little brother to sell him just to go.
no, there was one that says my my sister-in-law or something when they call me about why I took their car and me in Qatar and something like this. It was
Yeah, me
yeah,
does
a
a good
lot of
Qatar
good
be
stuff.
like
Yeah,
yeah.
I love it. I love it.
So NBC two.
Yeah.
Then when was like your first cinema experience? When do you remember
First cinema experience was probably in 2012 when the was it 2012 I think, or
Mm.
maybe earlier actually, 2011 when the city cinema was opened in Slimani.
Yeah, but Lena said it was opened in 2009.
9.
Yeah,
I I yeah, don't quote me on that.
yeah,
Maybe she's right.
yeah,
I can't remember accurately, but then it was when first it was open.
yeah.
I remember they this is probably a good reference point. The first movie they aired was 2012.
Yeah, we talked about that
All right,
on the
good.
Lena
All right.
episode.
So
It was released in
yeah,
2009.
yeah. So I wasn't able to go. It was aired in like the days of Eid,
Mm,
Eid Ramadan.
yeah,
I couldn't go because it was so crowded. And
yeah,
then, but afterwards, I was able to go. That was my first experience. My first experience for an IMAX
yeah.
was in the U.S. I
Mm,
went there through ILIP in 2012,
yeah.
and it was Dark Knight Rises.
Wow.
It was amazing.
You saw
yeah.
it at the IMAX?
Yeah, 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 I
That's
saw that
fucking
in IMAX.
funny.
It was amazing. I loved
Of course,
it.
it was amazing.
Yeah, and yeah, so probably 2009. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Actually, I remember like the first time I talked about it was 2017, but I don't think I talked about like no, no. about like my first time
Mm-hmm.
experience. It was actually the latest Mission Impossible,
Mm-hmm.
which was I think it was called Fallout, the one in
I think so. Yeah,
2018. Yeah,
yeah,
and they had like that show. Have you seen it?
yeah. I think I've seen all the Mission Impossible
Yeah,
movies.
it's the one that has like the real footage of like Tom Cruise actually falling from a plane.
Was that the one in Dubai?
No, no, the one in Dubai was Ghost, something
Oh,
Ghost Protocol.
yeah, Ghost
Ghost
Protocol.
Protocol
Yeah.
was 2000
Oh yeah, I know. There's
something.
an explosion.
Yeah, the
He's
one for
thrown into a car.
2015 got Tom Cruise like actually getting hooked on a plane and it was taking off.
Yeah,
He's nuts.
he,
He's
he
like
is.
70
He
years
is.
old and
He
he's
is.
still doing this
He
stuff.
is. He is.
2018 one has him like actually like recorded as he like skydives from a plane.
Tom Cruise is such a strange character, man. Even outside of his like acting,
Mm.
like you see all the different actors interacting with him. He's so unique.
Mm.
There is this impression done by Bill Hader.
Okay.
Bill Hader is one of the SNL
Yeah, I know.
actors,
Yeah.
and they've done a deep fake on his face.
Yeah.
That's where they
Yeah,
replace
I
his
know. I know.
face
Yeah.
with Tom Cruise, and he does an impression. I think it's Conan, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
He
definitely Conan.
does, yeah.
Yeah.
He does the impression so well.
Yeah.
But everyone talks about how he is. Like his energy is just so different from everyone else,
Yeah.
and I think that helps him being so like successful in his movies
He
as
was
well.
like in the last movie, like he was jumping from buildings and he got like
Yeah.
his ankle or knee
Fractures,
broken,
yeah. He,
and he's still like rolled with it,
yeah.
like nothing.
I just remembered actually, very interesting. My first experience of the cinema was in City Cinema.
Mm,
There was a Kurdish movie called Girdi Piros.
okay.
Girdi Piros, I think it was about Peshmerga fighting the Ba'ath regime.
Mm,
I think it was first probably aired in probably 2005.
okay.
Probably 2005. That was my first experience, but I hardly remember anything.
So like you saw it at the theater, like
Yeah, it was in the bazaar, but I don't think they operate anymore.
mm,
It's called. It was called. So there were two cinemas in Slimani. One of them was Cinema Rashid,
yeah,
which is now I think a bank,
yeah,
and then there was Cinema Sirwan.
yeah.
Cinema Sirwan is like in the heart of bazaar. Do you know Talari Naqib?
Yeah,
So it's right across. There's this alley when you come back to Molawi Street from
yeah,
Talari
yeah. I
Naqib,
think I know it. Yeah.
on the right, you
Yeah.
have Cinema Sirwan.
Mm,
Cinema Sirwan it operated probably from, I don't know, from the 80s, maybe earlier.
we had
I might
so
be
much cinemas around
Yeah.
the country.
all the way to recent years, probably
Yeah.
2010s
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
I think this might be inaccurate. I think even Kadhim Sar did like his first concert in Slimani and Cinema Sirwan or something.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a very unique place. I think I saw it there,
Mm.
but I don't really remember much of the experience.
Yeah. Actually, we like first of all, let's talk about like you talked about Rasheed Cinema because
Yeah.
like there is like Rasheed Cinema I think in Baghdad, there is Rasheed Cinema in
Probably the
Basra.
same thing.
Yeah, we had like so many like theaters
Mhm.
around like especially in Baghdad and Basra and all, but they are all got ruined. And now like the first cinema that opened in Basra and in the mall, it has like five theaters
Mhm.
to show
Mhm.
movies, and they have named each one of them after one of the cinemas that was. So we have Al Watani, we have Al Rashid, we have Al
Rashid.
Hamra,
Wow,
we
that's
have
nice.
yeah, we have two more Al Karnak. There is one more.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a really nice homage to the old way of watching movies.
I think it's really interesting that some of the things from the past are truly coming back, and
Yeah.
it's really exciting to see. For example, in what I do in photography, a lot of people take interest in film photography right now.
Yeah.
They use 35 millimeters. They use
Yeah, my
larger
sister
film
is trying to get
formats.
a camera as well.
Sorry.
My sister is trying to get a
Yeah,
camera.
I have it. I have an old Konica Pop.
Yeah.
It belongs to my wife's father.
Yeah.
He passed away in 2006.
Yeah,
So
peace be upon him.
yeah.
Peace be upon what? Rest in peace.
It's just, yeah, rest in
Yeah,
peace.
yeah.
Yeah, he left the camera to my wife, and then I'm using it.
Mm.
but getting film is so difficult right now.
Yeah.
You can buy like one film, which is like 36 or 38 rolls or 38 shots,
Mm.
and it's for like $10, $12.
Wow.
It's really expensive compared to digital,
Yeah.
but a lot of people are taking interest in it. I'm hoping to see more of that. Not only film, but movies, different other different like cultural things that used to exist in the past.
Yeah.
I hope they come back. Those kind of practices.
I would love it to see us one day like having a big hit Iraqi movie. Like
Yeah,
if we hit
it's
that, like I think that would be like,
long overdue, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really fascinating, and especially now like the world hasn't been like more educated to respect
Hmm.
international work and
Yeah.
international stuff. With Parasite, with Squid Game, with Money
Exactly.
Heist,
Yes.
people are just getting more and more into international stuff. They are just they just want to see how other communities live around the world.
It's kind of interesting. Sorry to cut you off, but I
Yeah, yeah.
think when you take a look outside of Hollywood,
Mm.
when you come back to Hollywood, you see it kind of a shallow
Yeah,
thing, you know?
it was designed this way because like I think it's what worked the most
Yeah,
for like
yeah,
the region out there,
exactly, exactly.
and they should like they done it that way because like again it's like capitalistic system, so they
Yeah.
have to make money. So I think that what worked the most. But the thing is like for like foreign movies, like they want to also to make profit out of the movie, but they are not targeted
Mm-hmm.
just for like
Mm-hmm.
money making processes. It's like a real genuine piece of art like the filmmaker makes just to put like his or her work outside.
Yeah.
And you can see it like in the tone and the colors and how the people talk. It's just so much more realistic than what you see in Hollywood.
Yeah. There are a lot of Kurdish movies actually. If you want
Yeah,
to check it out,
we
have
talked about that
you?
like just now.
Yeah, have you seen 09?
You told me about that one, but I haven't. No.
I
It's
didn't
it was
really.
the big one, like it was like
Yeah,
billboards
the
for it
cinema. Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
everywhere. Yeah,
It was a good step, but not for me. Not a really good enough movie.
yeah.
I think there were a lot of things that were rushed.
Did it make enough money at the box office
I
and
have no
everything?
idea. I have no idea how far it
Because
went.
like, let's be realistic here. Like, it's okay if it's like not the best movie or the
Hmm.
story or everything, because like we are not like that good at that
Yeah.
industry, to be honest. Like for now with the internet, like we also can mention some of the good stuff of the internet. We are like so connected with like what every country is producing out of movies.
Hmm.
So that's pretty good. But like if it made some money, even like some decent amount of money as profit, it can like encourage more producers and people, because
Yeah.
like there are people who has money everywhere to go and to invest into that sector.
100%.
Yeah.
The biggest problem here, maybe I don't know if it's the Middle East, Iraq, or Kurdistan, but there isn't a culture of investing in artists.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There is this, for example, for photographers and artists, there's this new notion of NFTs.
Mm.
A lot of people are getting into that. They support their art. I tried to get into it early January. I looked at it and it's a really strange world. It's so
Can anyone like can anyone
yeah,
get
you
into
can
it?
just you can make some art and then get minted. They call it mint.
Mm.
It's where you put it out there in one of
And
the
it just like get authentication as it's
yeah,
your work.
exactly.
And
It has an address,
yeah.
unique address. But the thing is, that's okay, totally okay with me. It's a form of like selling art. It's fine with me. But the community, such a strange community. I went into it. I was in it for a month. I didn't mint any of my photos, but I looked at the community. There's so much shallowness, so much.
Mm.
If I should, I don't know if I should say a swear word, but
Yeah, you could.
yeah, there's so much ass kissing on there, really, just to sell your art,
Yeah.
and it was exhausting for me. Like I couldn't do it. There are artists who like they're awarded. They are like well-known artists. They get on Twitter every day. They post a photo and type GM, good morning, and then at the night they say GN, good night. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Honestly, it was so meaningless to me. Like I couldn't connect with it at any level. I just decided to like let it go.
I mean, that's the entire like point of how shallow people got through
Yeah,
social media. It's
that's the
just
thing.
getting worse and worse. Like people are like, imagine going to an art exhibit and seeing the paintings in real life. Like that's
Yeah,
nothing compared to like few photos you see on a computer screen.
exactly, exactly. But people treat the art exhibition as a lesser form because it's easier
Yeah,
and it's deeper, right? It is as if people don't really want to connect with with their inner feelings. They just want to avoid it, you know? They
yeah,
don't want to be reminded. They just want to go on social media. You take a look at the photo for 3 seconds, you move on. That's it.
yeah. We are coming here to need to conclude this. We are
Oh
talking for an
boy,
hour and
really?
something. Yeah, we just lost
Wow.
track of time. Favorite movie?
Yeah, I was ready for this. I don't think I have a favorite movie.
Favorite?
I can
Yeah,
list several.
yeah.
I
Okay,
would say the Matrix
okay.
trilogy.
Trilogy or
Um,
the first one?
First one, and then the second and third. It's like
Don't tell
probably
me you
top
like the
10 or
last
something.
one.
Third,
The
I
last
haven't
one.
seen it. I
Okay,
haven't seen
better.
the fourth
Don't
one.
see it.
Yeah,
But,
I
yeah,
didn't go. But
yeah,
the first one is probably like
yeah.
top
It's the
five.
best one. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mad Max,
Fury
Fury
Road.
Road
Yeah,
is
I love that one.
probably one or second.
Have you seen the black and white version?
I've seen the two previous versions from
Like
Mel
the
Gibson.
80. Yeah, but
Mel
like there
Gibson.
is like
I haven't seen the black and white.
okay, okay,
No, 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 no.
yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I'll probably watch it.
Okay.
Um, I I had a list. I probably forgot, but
Okay.
those two really stand out for me
Mm.
a lot. There are a lot of good other movies. There was also the last movie by Martin Scorsese.
The Irishman.
The Irishman
Yeah,
was
yeah. It was
it
like
was
piece of work.
3 hours and a half. I
Yeah.
didn't even feel like
What did you think when he talked shitty about Marvel movies?
I agree.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I
yeah.
agree.
I agree as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Favorite series?
Dark,
Dark.
no contest.
Nothing.
Impossible.
Yeah.
Not even. I don't have.
Perfection to the utmost. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have second. I don't have third. I don't have fourth. I don't have fifth.
Mm.
They're all dark, and then afterwards, maybe some other things start. Maybe Breaking Bad. Maybe Game of Thrones. Right to the last season.
Yeah.
These kind, but there's no contest. Probably there won't be.
Thank you, man, for being here. We lost
Thank
track
you,
of time.
guys.
We've been
Yeah,
talking for
yeah,
an hour
yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
I-
It's really a pleasure having you. It was
Thank you
such
so
a nice
much.
conversation having
Yeah,
you, man.
I'm
here.
sorry if I rattled on, but I really enjoyed the conversation.
Same.
Yeah, I really enjoyed being here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
And for people who are listening, thank you for sticking around and have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye.